Good morning. How is everyone doing today? Seriously, I feel like I've been up for a while. My child crawled into our bed last night. And although I love my children, I really don't sleep well when they are in my bed. So good morning. Thank you so much for joining me live or during the replay. I always appreciate you taking the time to have a little bit of coffee with me first thing in the morning on Monday. So today, I want to talk to you about how when it comes to physical activity, I do not have a do or don't list. So I know that a lot of people who specialize in postnatal fitness or dealing with persons who have pelvic floor dysfunctions of any kind have a list of things that they refuse to do and a list of things that are really great for your particular symptoms. So I do not have a do or don't list. Good morning, Sam. How are you doing today? And I don't let my symptoms of pelvic floor dysfunction affect anything I do. That includes jumping around in my 3-year-old's dance class. I am very lucky that it doesn't take a whole lot for me to take care of to manage my symptoms of pelvic floor dysfunction. In the past, I have had symptoms of leaking. After the birth of my second, I had a very minor prolapse. Sex worried me for a little bit. I'll put that out there. Why not? Just from, the birth itself. And sometimes these things happen again. And mainly the leaking portion for me, actually. And I went to see my pelvic floor physiotherapist a few months ago now because I try to make it in there every year just to find out what is going on down there. And because it was cold season and flu season or whatever, wherever you end up coughing, my pelvic floor had taken a little bit of beating. So I did a little bit of work. I took a step back. I focused on that work to make sure that my pelvic floor was up to the tasks of doing my everyday life. So I do have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, both love to be carried. I also love to lift heavy weights. These are not issues with me when everything is functioning properly, but they weren't at that time. And as someone who gets to a certain level with their fitness, I'm not going to lie, it's hard for me to recognize sometimes when it's time to take a step back. So I really needed that reminder. I really needed somebody from the outside to be like, hey, Dom, here's what's going on, and you need to take a step back. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I wish I was a little bit more I'm in tune, but I think, I don't know. It's one of those things where when you're in something, you're doing something, or even you're brand new, there's this thought process that goes to our mind is, if we're not going all out, what's the point? And I get that because I've been there, and sometimes I fall back into those old thinking patterns as well, even though my entire way I approach movement and exercise has completely changed in the last few years. So I did take a step back. I've pulled out the heavy weightlifting for now, and I went back to essentially the exercises that I do with everyone who comes to me. And it has been amazing to take a step back and just move in a way that is very supportive for my pelvic floor, that was very supportive for my symptoms at that time, and really retrain my system again to function properly. And the amount of confidence that you can get when you take something that you think you're just living with into your own hands and do something about it and realize that you don't have to live with it is so freaking empowering. It is so amazingly empowering. And honestly, I laugh because we're a Game of Thrones fans, so I'm wearing my Game of Thrones t-shirt that I wore last night. And I got this before I had children. And I'm still kind of like squeezing myself into it because things aren't the same. Things are not the same, but I'm totally fine with that because I am recognizing the power my body has, and I'm taking ownership of the function of my body. And this is what is super, super important. So yeah, this is step one. This is truly step one. And this is something that you might have to go back to, but just because you have to take the time to ensure that your body is functioning optimally will make it that much more, again, empowering and easy to get back into those things. And some of these practices that we do, you start to get so much strength from them, especially on those harder phases of exercise, because we're utilizing that out breath as support to help lift those heavy weights and for us to find that nice alignment that makes us kind of feel tall and like Superman, do your Superman pose. So all of this and more is what I'm going to be bringing to you starting in July. So I am like neck deep now in the planning process of this online program that was actually suggested to me by a dear friend who was like, I really want to take your classes, but I can't make it out. And I shouldn't narrow it down to one person because it was a few people that said that. So they're like, you really should do an online course. And part of me is like, I don't know. As someone with an acting background, you would think I'm a lot more confident being in front of the camera than I am, but I'm not. Being someone else on camera, super easy. Being myself, kind of nerve-wracking. But it is coming at you. And it's going to have a beautiful combination of breath, alignment work, exercise, yoga, all kinds of stuff. I don't want to give it all away now, but it is coming at you. So stay tuned, because in a couple weeks I'm going to be running an early bird flash sale on it. I just have to kind of figure out the ins and outs of how it's going to look, and it's going to be coming our way, and it's going to have all of these things that we were talking about. And remember, you can go back to these things anytime you need to, and then go back to the things that you love once you've got that support, once everything is kind of functioning in that natural way that we want the body to function. All this stuff is the way our body is meant to work. The inner core, the pelvic floor, diaphragm, transversus abdominis, multifidi, they are anticipatory muscles. And when something is not going right, they lose the ability to anticipate the contraction needed to perform tasks. So if you're reaching down to, I'm finishing up the laundry right now. So if you're bending down to pick up a basket of laundry, your brain is quickly processing that information as you're reaching down, and the core is like firing up of, okay, you have life experience, you know how much this basket of laundry is going to weigh, and this is what we're going to do to make sure that you can lift it up with ease. So whether it's pregnancy, age, injury, athleticism, that's the ones popping in my head right now, whatever is causing your pelvic floor dysfunction, because it is not exclusive to pregnancy, though it is definitely a huge contributor if you are someone who has born children. Not as in birthed, as in carried, because that's a lot of pressure on the pelvic floor. Conversation for another day. Then, yeah, there's totally, we just lose that ability. And when we can find that ability again, everything just feels so much better. And you can do things like jump around in your toddler's dance class, which is half of the joy of being there. It's just kind of watching her see you do cool things, and she wants to do it too. So if you have any questions about pelvic floor dysfunction, about movement, about anything, I am always here. Always here. I'm always just a little DM away. I will get back to you. Sometimes it's harder than other days, but I will always get back to you. So if there's nothing currently happening live right now, comment-wise, then I'm going to leave you to it. And I hope you have an amazing Monday and you find some way to just feel amazing today. I don't know what that means to you on this particular Monday morning, whether it's an extra cup of coffee, whether it's an extra 5 minutes of sleep if you can get it, or just getting your body moving. I hope that you find that time to just do you. All right, thanks so much for tuning in, and thanks. I appreciate that, Sheila. I don't even know where you are right now, but very far away from us, I think. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, and totally did wake up like this. Game of Thrones t-shirt and all. I'm gonna go finish this cold cup of coffee now. I never seem to be able to get like warm coffee in. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks again. Bye.